A business trip turned unexpected grand adventure. Nexus is an isekai story which puts our natural conflict resolution biases front and center. What can we learn from a world which has peace seemingly figured out? What can they learn from us? Welcome to Nexus. Player characters are each leaders of an AI startup called Lantern. They've developed software called Lighthouse, which uses augmented reality to project solutions to various tasks. Want to expertly make a creme brulee but don't know how? Use Lighthouse. Want to make the perfect golf shot based on the exact conditions you're in? Use Lighthouse. Want to play an instrument you've never been trained in like a pro? Use Lighthouse. I'm now going to hand things over to Aurora, who's going to introduce herself and the rest of the characters.
Hey, I'm Aurora Miller. I am 35 years old, and I am the CEO of Lantern. And I'm going to hand it over to Vic.
Victor Darren. He goes by Vic. He's somewhere in his 60s. Can't really tell. He's a Italian American. He's got a youthful glow. He's wearing a really nice tuxedo, reminiscent of the old days of the Rat Pack era. Holding a martini in one hand and vaping in the other hand. Trying to calm down, especially the CEO, Aurora. She's kind of really on edge.
Bonjour, my name is Lucien Beaumont, and I am the Chief Technology Officer of Lantern. With over a decade of experience in cutting-edge AI technology and a proven track record of bringing innovative technologies to market.
Fantastic. We have quite the crew. For some context, the player characters are traveling on Flight 714 from Los Angeles to Auckland, New Zealand for a crucial demo of Lighthouse, and they're rehearsing their pitches. If they're successful, they're going to get $1 million grant for their company. So, let's get things started. They are on a small chartered aircraft somewhere over the Pacific in the middle of the night, rehearsing their pitches. Aurora, Vic, Lucian, take it away.
Alright guys, I know we've run this through around 100 times already, but any areas that we want to focus on just a couple more times to make sure we are smooth sailing for the actual demo?
Aurora. The product sells itself. Brings over a couple martinis, rubs her shoulder. Authenticity. People always say AI isn't authentic. This brings out the authenticity in any human being's skill. They don't have to be skilled, but it comes across as authentic. What's better than that?
Having the technology actually understand what you are saying is terrible. We can't understand any accent.
There's a significant amount of turbulence, a big bump, and the laptop that you're using, Lucian, kind of slams into your hand, and you accidentally hit run simulation for your demo. But as you do, an error message pops up.
Definitely read the error message.
I know, right? What does this say?
The error message says, simulation parameters corrupted. Please input new parameters.
That's not possible. It was a predictive error, invention, real-time error.
In real time.
You would see his brow get progressively more furrowed as, his salt and pepper hair is going to, because he has short cropped hair, little mini dreadlocks, not the Killmonger look, of course, because that's overdone, but but you see him progressively just shake his head, just no, and then he's like progressively getting angrier, almost like he's talking to a disrespectful, unlistening dog as he's working through lines of code.
Why don't you roll? Give me 46 roll for your capacity to fix the simulation while Aurora's pupils have grown 2 sizes as she stares behind you.
9.
Essentially, it's almost like in Star Trek where you have to reroute auxiliary power. In this particular simulation, you are running an analysis on how Lighthouse could, for a large group of people, simultaneously upskill, say, an orchestra. Could a random group of people, play an orchestra? Could a random group of people, cook a large meal for charity, right, with complex ingredients? So what you decide to do is make a couple reroutes of the input parameters, which you think is completely reasonable, totally fine. And you can see that very famous thing, if you've ever been a programmer, just says compiling. Aurora, I would say that you believe that it's been fixed. At least
it was a null pointer error.
Maybe.
And we had a memory leak. It's very complicated, but basically, imagine you have pancake batter and you pour it into another cup, and you pour it into another cup, and eventually run out of batter. That's a memory leak. It was very terrible.
Alright, so we're about to make you pancakes?
You had me so worried I was speaking with my mother accent. Oh, terrible stuff.
So obviously, kind of zoom out. You guys are kind of just crunching the numbers, going over, about an hour goes by. Again, it's the middle of the night, but all of a sudden, you have your windows open. You forgot to close them. You know how those, even on a chartered private aircraft that's small, they still have, sizable enough windows. All of a sudden, this dark, vibrant purple neon light starts to beam into your windows.
Take a peek out the window. I'm gonna look at it nice and close. I'm curious.
Yeah.
While sipping.
Like Vic on his third martini in the past 90 minutes of prep. Vic, you look out the window. And as you do, there's a huge piece of turbulence bump, and you get tossed up, and actually you hit your head on the overhanging bin. But you get a quick look. There is what almost looks like a massive purple ring in the sky in front of your plane, and you're headed right for it.
Oh, great. UFO.
Lumiere Violet. Oh, every time Lucian gets a little anxious or scared or anything like that, mother accents come out, the English gets terrible, he loses, all of the hard work he's learned and all those speech therapy classes he had to take to fit in with the Americans.
I want you all to roll for how you interact with the significant turbulence that's about to hit Flight 714. Roll 2d6.
Ooh.
Oh no!
What did you roll? What did you do?
Lucian's trying to put on the seatbelt. He's just doing male to male, female to female, just easing it up with his strong two.
Yep. Oh no! Snake eyes. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I got a 3. I think Vic is just Vic takes his 4th martini and is still staring out the window.
I'm just panically. I think the attendance.
Yeah, exactly. So there, you hear over the intercom, this is the captain speaking. Please strap your shirt. All of a sudden, the radio goes out, and bang! A huge tremendous force of turbulence hits. Lucian, you did not get buckled in. You're actually thrown across and smash into the other side of the plane, knocking you unconscious. You're out. Vic, Aurora, you hadn't yet buckled in, and you're thrown backwards. So while you don't hit a wall, you're on the other end of the plane on the floor, and you roll. And Vic, your body hits Aurora, but you're still conscious. And what you see is your plane, which was normally flying like this, is now like this. And so you're sliding on the floor, and you see now out the window this huge purple ring in the sky is pulling your plane in with gravity, and all of a sudden, you're now bumping. You're the plane passes through the portal. Lucian, you're not aware of what's about to happen, but Aurora and Vic, all of a sudden, a intense but calming white light overtakes the cabin. And when you come to, all you hear at first, the very first thing that both you, Aurora, and Vic hear before Lucian wakes up is terrain, terrain, alert, alert, terrain, terrain. Lucian, that wakes you up.
Yeah, Vic's conscious. He's gonna try to stand up, even though there's probably extreme turbulence, and rush towards the cockpit.
Right.
The cockpit is locked. Actually, no. Roll for luck. 2d6. Vic.
You hear Lucian colorfully swearing in the back.
A 6.
The door is actually busted off its hinges, and you open the door, and there is no pilot. The pilot is not present, and the plane is it's still moving. The plane's nose is starting to bend down. Aurora, what you see as Vic is opening the door is it's no longer nighttime at all. You look outside the window. As a matter of fact, it is a beautiful, bright, sunny day, and other than imminent death, this would actually be a gorgeous view. I would compare it to Switzerland. The hills and valleys of Switzerland, beautiful green rolling hills, tall mountains with white-capped peaks. Unfortunately, your plane is headed for one of those peaks.
Yeah, I mean, I want to follow behind Vic to see if there's anything that either of us can do. I'm assuming neither of us, either of us have any experience flying a plane, but at least if we can stop the nosedive for a bit, perhaps.
Yeah, I'll sit in the cockpit and yank on the yoke.
Now, does Lucian, as he's waking up, does he see them rushing forward and entering the cockpit?
Yeah, okay. The blinding light gets you, but you hear the terrain siren, and you see them rushing to the cockpit, for sure.
Do you know how to fly a plane?
As we're running down, no.
Immediately start loading the flight simulator module of Lantern on from the
Exactly.
laptop.
Well, all modern aircraft in this era do possess automatic landing technology in the event of a loss of consciousness of a pilot that requires a minimum of human intervention. One of you has to find a way to engage those protocols as you have terrain, warning, warning, 30,000 feet, 29,000 feet, 28,000 feet is blaring in your ears over and over. Which one's going to be? The technology option, perhaps?
I'm trying to pull on the yoke. You guys figure out the AI.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying to load a module. I would scream, don't pull anything. It's a big glider without engines. As long as we float and don't hit a mountain, we're fine.
Why don't you roll 3d6?
Don't think we're floating anymore.
Roll 3d6 for me, Lucian.
Ooh, that's a 12, sir.
Natural?
Natural.
What you're able to do is this plane, for whatever reason, happens to be highly advanced for a civilian aircraft and possesses state-of-the-art automated descent technology. However, the plane's speed is so significant that even after you input it, there will be a all-hands brace for impact style situation. So you programmatically insert, you activate it, you are certain, and then over the intercom, there's an automated voice which says, automatic descension program enabled. Please strap yourselves in. Terrain warning. Terrain warning.
Buckle up.
I think we should. I feel like the rest of mine, like, was. It's better to be closer to the back of the plane, or maybe middle back of the plane, right? So, like, maybe the three of us should be sitting in that area and vacate the cockpit area.
Right. How do I feel that she's run the company?
What's that?
How do I feel that Aurora's run the company? Do I feel like
she's done a great job.
Oh, okay, then I'll follow her lead. Otherwise, I was going to sit the opposite end of the plane.
No.
Oh.
What I'll say is you all run to the back of the plane and you strap yourselves in. Because of your incredible due diligence, you're leveling off really nicely. And as you hit this beautiful, verdant, bucolic green field, you do it at the perfect angle. And so all you guys really feel well strapped in is, something like this, like an actor on a Star Trek bridge, instead of being tossed out of your chair into a wall, you land. the plane comes to a complete stop in the middle of this verdant wilderness, as far as you know. What would you like to do?
Gloat.
Take stock of
You see,
what-
this is why you should pay me more.
Pay me less.
Yeah, I think we need to take stock of our surroundings, take stock of what is on the plane for survival items, food, water, like med, first aid kit, things like that.
Right.
Extra clothes or whatnot. Potential items we can use from a defensive perspective because we have no idea where we are.
Well, why don't you roll a 3d6 for like a resourcefulness style roll?
11.
Nice. The plane actually has a pretty significant stock of emergency rations, water, and first aid supplies. Luckily, due to Lucian's heroism, you don't suffer significant injuries. As a matter of fact, the person who's injured most is Lucian from being tossed into the wall, and you're easily able to kind of bandage him up. In terms of getting a feel for your surroundings, the emergency hatch and bulkhead you're able to open. And again, as I said before, you're in this beautiful field of green, of wildflowers. Evidently, you're in some sort of valley. Again, you see it in the distance, these beautiful, tall mountains and rolling hills. It is just an amazing, beautiful sight. If you were trapped wherever the heck it is that you are, it's just a really stunning area and stunning view for sure.
Now, based on the verdant green fields we see, where do we suppose, or where would we suppose we landed based on our flight path, right? Like,
that's a
can't recall
great
where the
question.
conference
Why
was.
don't you roll? I'll give you a 3d6 in terms of like trying to localize where you might be.
10.
We also can use our phones, like from the location on
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
What I'll say is that your phones are not connected to the internet. Even you, Aurora, who has satellite internet, they're not connected, which is what they call on the internet a red flag. Lucian, you know the meme of people raw dogging flights?
Yes.
You're a flight raw dogger, and you were, like on the back of the
course I
chair,
am.
they have the flight map. You knew exactly where you were over the Pacific. There were no islands where you were. You are you should not be on land right now.
And we were flying in the nighttime. And now
Exactly, and it's daytime. Like, unless a lot of something is clearly off, clearly wrong. Whatever this portal was, you are. The evidence is quite simply not adding up, and you are confused, and may share that with the group as you deem fit.
Are there binoculars in the airplane?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can I use them to try to get a better sense of our surroundings and see anything other
Yes.
than just the...
I'll give you a 2d6 on that.
Oh, 5.
You look around. You don't see any people or any creatures necessarily, although you do see in the far distance, or somewhat far distance, some dust being kicked up. But because of how tall, your field of vision just can't see past the reeds and the grass and the wildflowers. But some dust, so it could be maybe a vehicle or a group, or maybe it's just some sort of small storm. It's hard for you to say with that level of roll, but you don't sense immediate danger necessarily in the few minutes that you've been here.
Okay. And the only exit that we have out of the plane is one of the side hatches.
There are
Or-
two.
or-
There's one on each side. It's a small plane. It's only an 8-seater, like a
Okay.
Cessna or something.
Oh, okay.
It's not a big plane at all. It's not like one of those 747s. I did flight 714. That's not so subtle Tintin reference. But the aircraft itself is small.
Okay. Okay.
We open the hatch.
Yeah. Aurora already did. She kind of climbed down. I'm saying, she's just, scanning the horizon, seeing with that level of roll, not a whole lot, I would say.
I'm gonna grab the med kit, given, with my nearly 2-meter height. It's been a pretty painful journey, just legs cramped.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, you're probably
Go pop some
putting an
pills.
ice pack on your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I bleeding? You probably a little bit of blood on your hand, right? Just probably patching yourself up. Vic close by. I'll say Aurora because you did decide to go outside. You're the first to hear it. At first, it doesn't sound like it's almost cacophony because it's far away. But as the minutes go by and you're looking around, it starts to get closer. But then what you're able to hear, and Vic, what you're able to discern are trumpets, or an instrument at least closely approximating trumpets, and you hear doo 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 doo, and then as it gets closer and that becomes louder, you hear people going, I'm gonna wake up my son upstairs. Not gonna try to, but you hear people going, thunder, doo doo, thunder.
Don't like that.
Do I recognize the instrument?
Roll 46 as the musician you are.
I rolled 3 6s and a 5.
Those are good rolls. What I'll say is it sounds like a trumpet. It's like 80% similar to a trumpet, but it's not an instrument that you're aware of. But it's similar in sound, right?
Sounds like Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 is right about interdimensional alien activity.
I would recommend that we all get back in a plane, close the hatches, close all the windows except for because we're just going into this not knowing where we are. We know that we crashed somewhere. We know that none of our communication devices are working.
Yep.
And we know that it sounds like there's a group of people approaching our location, and we don't know if they are friend or foe.
True.
So I would recommend that we take a defensive position within the plane, close as many of the visible portals and windows as possible, close the emergency hatches, and just observe at this point to see when we can.
Let's do a quick peek and see how many I see.
Yeah, what I'll do is we'll do Aurora's suggestion first. So how about all of you roll 2d6? I'll take the best roll as the group, and then I'll address you, Vic, second.
9.
Nice.
5.
So we'll take a 9. So you are able to close the hatches, and of course, because they seal from the inside, you're able to be relatively well sealed. You close all the shades except for a few, but you still need to be able to see. Vic, your question is, what else do you see as you're kind of observing as they get closer?
Well, how many people?
Roll 3d6 to kind of get a feel for what the heck is coming your way.
12.
Jesus. I haven't really considered a 12 here. The dice fell. It already happened. 23 minutes in.
Yo, I swear, we're gonna have to have like a horn that goes every time
exactly.
the first someone who drops the dice every session.
There should be some betting, over under 15 minutes on the first dice drop, and just give it away to charity, whoever gets it right or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Vic, you don't really believe what you see. You see a literal menagerie of different fantasy races not in a loose column walking your direction. Some on creatures that look like horses or approximating horses. Some are on foot. I would say some of the creatures from your vantage point with your unbelievably exceptional roll look like dwarves. Some look like elves. Some look like cat-human hybrids. What are they called? The ones with the cute cat ears? They're like cat... Somebody on the internet, I'm sure, will correct me easily, and God bless you. Like Nico cats? What are they called? anyway, a whole net lizards. What's that?
Are you talking about the Khajiit from ESO?
There's that too. As a matter of fact, there's one very specific Khajiit-ish looking guy at the front who is marvelously well dressed. And for your role, Vic, I'll give you an extra piece of information. While this sort of menagerie of fantasy race type folks, none of them are carrying weapons, but they're all very well dressed, very well put together, like meticulously so. I'll give you that at even the range there, but you hear them just going, thunder, thunder, almost like they're announcing someone.
Well,
as a matter of fact, the analogy...
I've been taking acid since 79, so where did you put my martini?
Yeah, pinch. What I'll compare it to is, you know in Dune 1 where they're on the beach and they just go, Atreides! Atreides! It's like that, but instead of being militaristic, it's more prideful. It's really... I'll give you that for free, Vic. That makes sense, because again, you rolled a crit. So
I'm still holding
Yeah.
like a vodka bottle. Peace offering, maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
And down the
Would
rest of
you
it.
share that with Aurora and Lucian, Vic?
Yeah, say it out loud, yeah.
What on earth are you going to do with that little bit of information as they approach your plane?
Lucian only has one concern, because being the uber nerd that he is, once he sees the menagerie of different people, he's automatically going, "Oh my god, it happened." Is there? Well, maybe I can't say that. Is there a goth cat girl in the mix?
Of course there is. There's two.
What are you thinking over there, Lucian?
Nothing?
He's like, I finally made it. I died and went to heaven. Thank God.
Exactly. He's one of those. He's just like,
Thank God. Wait, how did you guys make it in?
yeah. What you don't know is when a
Pal,
certain
you're
group
sick.
of people get together, most of the IT departments in the U.S. are like devoid of staff. But I won't say the group so we don't get banned. Anyways.
Okay, band. It's all love here. All love and support. No hate. But these are the people, and a cool wide variety of different folks are coming at you, but they are all under the same banner. And as they get closer, there's a thunderbolt on the banner, no doubt. Thunderous thunder chants get louder and louder, and they encircle your plane. Thunder, pff, thunder. Pff. The rhythmic stomping
Riz.
of their staves is actually really, really cool. But all of a sudden it stops, and the silence is unsettling, and you hear, "Intruders, you are in King Thunder's domain. Exit and parley."
All right.
I'm just
I
gonna-
think we have to go out at this point. Aurora will go out.
I would
You
say,
open it up?
Wait,
Yeah.
before you go, Aurora.
I'm just gonna hold all like the booze and just carry it out.
I'm just gonna say, Aurora, remember, you're our best negotiator. If they ask for anything involving a demon lord, that means we can ask for the kingdom. Just if they say anything about that, it will make sense later. I promise I'll explain later. Just go now.
At you.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have no idea what
Aurora
I'm
is not
talking
the
about.
weed
I'm just gonna be
type.
like, trust me. Trust
Can
me. They say
can you open the hatch for me?
Aurora,
I'm
you
just gonna open and go out with my hands up.
did all of you go out behind Aurora?
Yeah,
Vic with the booze?
I'll peek around her shoulder. Hey, pallies, how you doing?
Yeah. You like do the politician wave, except like in the other hand, there's just like 6 bottles, like 6 handles of booze. Aurora, you're surrounded by about 50 different. Normally, you would have thought them to be soldiers, but again, they're not armed, nor are they armored. However, like I said, they're impeccably well dressed in this sort of thunderous garb. There are 2 people at the front and center. One is a dwarf. He is clearly dressed different. Again, if this were your world, or even say Tolkien's world, you might think this dwarf were a general of some kind. And the other one is, he has very Khajiit-like, cat-like, more evolved cat-like qualities, and he is in the most. It's almost like if you took, like the king's handler, right, like the right hand of the king, right, that this cat gentleman is at the front and center next to this dwarf who's on not quite horseback, but it's an animal closely approximating the horse. You come down, and you hear the Khajiit say, "Outsiders, be you friend or adjudicators, perhaps?"
I would say I don't know what an adjudicator is. But we hope that we can be seen as friends. We crashed here, and we don't know how we got here.
Roll 4d6 for this persuasion attempt.
But I would like to learn the truth. There's not
Right, but it's more like how you're saying it, right? How you're coming across to this gentleman.
8.
Okay. He looks around, especially to the dwarf on horseback, who kind of just gives him like one of those, type of nods. And this cat gentleman walks up to you, Aurora. He's actually very close. He says, "My name is Whiskertooth, and I bid you welcome to Nexus. I do not know what you mean by crashing, but if it is refuge that you seek, then we are here to provide it.
That is very kind of you, Whiskertooth. My name is Aurora. These are my companions, Vic and Lucian, behind me. We were on our way somewhere, and ran into some issues in the plane behind us here, and somehow ended up crash landing in Nexus. We don't know how.
The dwarf behind him on horseback says, Whiskertooth, ask her what that is. He's pointing at your plane. Whiskertooth says, is this some sort of animal? He's like completely lost.
Yeah. No, it's only called an airplane. It allows you to go from one location to another by flying through the air. It is a machine. It's not typically alive, like an animal.
A machine. He looks at the dwarf. General Benesect, he says. Whiskertooth says. Which is interesting that he would use the word general. It kind of catches you off guard. General Benesect, it is an animal called machine. He's lost in the sauce, for sure.
If I may, Sir Whiskertooth, I am the great sage of this group, and if you have any questions on the usage of machine, I certainly could give you more help in enlightening you.
Well, it would not be gentlemanly, he says, to not offer you comfort and refuge as your beast of burden appears to have passed away. Would you like to come with us to Pharos Castle and to be treated to the hospitality of King Thunder himself?
We would be most appreciative.
You said thunder. I mean, you were really on beat with the thunder. What was that instrument you were playing exactly?
He actually seems thrilled that you asked that. Do you know about blowhorns? Do you appreciate the art of blowhorning? He actually takes one from one of the things and hands you, Vic, a blowhorn and says, could you play some for us?
You know, it's been a while, but yeah, I learned a bit at Berkeley. Give it here.
Very crucially, do you remember that neon dark purple behind your eyes in your retina? So like when you close your eyes, you can kind of see a color. When you briefly blink, in that moment where your intent goes to play this, you see that color fizzling, almost like little streaks of lightning behind your eyes. And you are certain that you can play this thing ridiculously well, because you see in front of you, without the augmented reality technology, the steps it takes to play a blowhorn really, 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 really well. So you can roll master rolls anytime you want to play a blowhorn now.
I'll play it right now. I'll play it right now to an old song from Earth. Not a fear. Do I take my 2 best die?
Yes, sir.
It's an 11, man.
My God. What's the song you're playing? Is it like a Miles Davis jazz?
It's dun 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 dun. Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum. Do 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 do. You came along and everything started to hum. Do 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 do. The best is yet to come, babe. Won't that be fine? I'll sing and play.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you put on a virtuoso performance. Whiskertooth, if his jaw could physically hit the ground, it would hit the ground. The dwarf on horseback dismounts, and he does the deep Japanese bow in front of you and says, "Honored group, you are most welcome in Pharos. That was beautiful, sir." He's looking at you, Vic.
Vic, you have martinis there?
Whiskertooth is like kind of putting two to two together that you have absolutely no idea what's going on. He says, I'm sure together, Mr. Vic, said like Mr. Wick, but Mr. Vic, I'm sure together we can figure out how to make one.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I'm in.
Any fermented fruit juice will do, Sir Whiskers.
That's right. Whiskertooth kind of, before we go, kind of looks you all up and down. Like, kind of just like, he's trying to figure out what's going on here. His boss, General Benesect, is like, whatever. And then the people around you are actually deeply impressed with Vic's performance. They're kind of willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. And they feel really bad for you because your animal, your beast of burden machine, is no longer with us. And that would make them very sad. And they're trying to be compassionate. So their sort of demeanor has changed from concerned or anxious to empathetic, supportive. Right? So you sense that shift, especially you, Aurora, who's really in tune with body language. Vic, you as well. You sense this significant shift, and you can sense that Whiskertooth is the guy to talk to about stuff, for sure.
What did we bring anything with us, Lucian, especially like your laptop or anything? Like, what did we walk out with? I'm wondering, would it be worthwhile to just go back into the airplane really quick to grab anything that we think we might need?
You could. You definitely could.
I mean, I'll grab my laptop and the solar converters that.
Yeah.
Because we're in the future where we have green energy, so I'm gonna make it so. Laptop, solar converter, fire extinguisher, med pack I already have, toilet paper. He has enough alcohol for all of us. And then one of the floaty cushions, because I don't know if there's pillows in this world. But
what I'll say is the two goth cat girls offer to help you carry. They're literally on your left and right arm, and they offer to help you carry these things, Lucian. And they're very kind about it, for sure. Very kind.
Have the biggest grin on his face.
Lucian is in a world.
Yeah. He's like, finally.
Finally. So, yeah, exactly. And I'm just like I'm telling them poetry and stories from Earth, and I'm like plagiarizing like it's my stories, but it's 100% other people's greatest work. You know what I mean?
They'll say things like, "Master Sage, you are so wise. You will be such a benefit to the king in Pharos, especially now during these dark times."
Oh. Do we have any gadgets like that, apart from our phone, obviously, that like would record? Like, I'm wondering it.
Yeah. So your devices aren't working.
At all.
Oh, at all.
They won't even. They will not power up. And
Okay.
and as a matter of fact, Lucian, if you give me a 46 roll, I'm going to tell you what you believe the reason for that is.
Oh, like a mad lad, I'm rolling. 11.
Here's the deal.
Good thing for you, have a 1989 camcorder in the back. It's battery powered.
No, you don't. That's silly. And actually, that wouldn't turn out either, because there is a significant amount of magnetic interference wherever it is that you are that is scrambling most of what modern technology is. Now, that doesn't mean a filter couldn't be adapted, but it's something that you would have to develop down the line, potentially in Pharos. You have no idea what type of technology these folks have. Do or they don't have. But this is your one opportunity prior to getting to Pharos Castle to kind of ask your questions before we get there. Another one, number 2, baby. Both were better. Let the record show.
First one was sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's why I told you I got a whole bucket today. It's not. It's
oh
fine.
My gosh,
it's fine.
How many are there by the end?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna make it. Anything that you guys like to do, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'll certainly ask Whiskertooth some questions.
Yeah, so we'll say that Whiskertooth, he walks. He's very agile. He walks quickly, but he slowly modulates his speed to match you, Vic. And he's walking beside you. I'll let you initiate the conversation as you want.
Oh, you're a speedy fellow, aren't you?
Well, I've found that it's helpful in my line of work.
And what do you do?
Well, I am King Thunder's loyal servant. I get him what he needs, when he needs it, most of the time without asking why.
Kind of like a butler.
Yes, a butler. What an honored and treasured profession. That is not what he would refer to me as, for I am simply Whiskertooth. But I am his aide. He's very proud of himself. A lot of pride.
Tell me, Pally, where exactly are we on this planet?
I don't know what a planet is, but you are in Nexus. Nexus is our land. Nexus is this beautiful natural landscape, a whole host of wonderful people and cultures, all of whom in the civilized world are led by King Thunder himself. There are other areas of this land that he's like, that King Thunder does not rule in the strictest sense of the word. And that's when one of the goth cat girls next to Lucian overhears and says, "That's where the Banshee Queen lives."
Banshee Queen.
Oh,
Another
Banshee.
funkadelic name.
Oh, that sounds like, yeah, it sounds like someone who would totally be against marriage and relationships. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that she's against relationships, but she has had some historical disagreements with my great king. She oversees Ferris Jungle and the wilds. All wild beasts and creatures they purport to follow.
Oh,
This Banshee
there's
Queen.
nothing. So there's nothing that would keep a wonderful person like yourself from getting married. Good to know. You know, he's just like, he's in the corner, just,
She blushes.
of course.
100%.
Oh no, this guy's
Like
super
the
top.
red
Love it.
right here level blush. Like for sure.
Yes.
But that's how Whiskertooth responds to you, Vic.
Mhm.
And what kind of man is this King Thunder?
He's a great man. Great leader. There is only peace. There is only prosperity. Only joy. I'm not to say that we don't have our struggles, but he is the personification of greatness.
I look forward to meeting him.
As you should. But I think with your musical talent, Mr. Vic, he will enjoy meeting you as well.
Yeah.
What I'll say is, you guys, it's about a half day's walk. But eventually, you're getting closer.
Can I ask about the mounts? Like,
Exactly.
Are
Yeah,
there,
go ahead.
are there different kinds of mounts, or are they all like
Yes.
the same creature?
No, there's many different ones, as a matter of fact.
Am I walking next to Whiskertooth as well, or near?
You can be wherever you wish.
Who was the general? What's the general's name again?
Benesect. General Benesect.
Benesect. Okay. And is he on a mount?
Yes. He's
Okay.
on the closest it looks actually probably from your eyes in size, probably closer to a large pony. But it's not
Okay.
technically a horse.
Okay. I would probably ask General Benesect then, and ask. I noticed that there are different. Did they call them like beasts of burden, or what did they refer to them earlier?
Yeah, these are animals. Beasts of burden are animals that have been trained for a specific helping purpose for more evolved species.
Okay.
But there are species that what you might consider have animalistic features, such as Whiskertooth or the goth cat girls or the other, the more lizard men style. But those are evolved, right? They're the same thing as humans in terms of their evolution in certain respects. But horses or things that can't speak or, necessarily have a sense of self in the same way, those are considered beasts of burden. Yep.
Okay. I was going to say something like, I was fascinated by the different types of beasts of burden that you have, as to where we are from. We certainly don't have this much of a variety.
Oh, then you must come from a strange land, the general says. These beasts, we have evolved for a symbiotic relationship. We care and guide these creatures, provide comfort and food and water. And in turn, they help us in so many ways with food, with comfort, with travel, with transportation of goods. It's dumbfounding to me that they might not have these types of creatures where you're from. How would you even get anything done? How does machine even operate? How very strange. Like he's honestly pretty confused.
We asked things similar to what machine is like. That we use where we're from, and less so that is the prolific use of what you consider a traditional beast of burden.
Gotcha. Well, machine is one of the largest beasts that I've ever seen, but not the largest.
What's the largest?
Oh,
Don't be dragons. Don't be dragons.
He's gonna kind of look off in the distance, not concerned but contemplative, and say dragons.
Solution curse again.
Dragons are rare, but they are wonderful, majestic creatures that tend to keep to themselves. But I have seen them flying at night.
That's incredible. We don't have any dragons where we're from, so to think that it would be possible to see one in person is an incredible thing.
As you guys are talking, you're now in full sight of Pharaoh's castle. Built into the mountainside. I'll definitely hand it to you for one last bit, Lucian. But think of as a starting block the Lonely Mountain and the Hobbit built into the mountainside. It's very much like that, but I would say it's almost a little more Minas Tirith in the sense that it's like built out of the rock and like hewn and carved over the eons. This majestic, beautiful stone city carved into the side, and the way that the sun glints off the main tower is just absolutely stunning. And as you guys get in sort of visual range, they start doing the whole thunder thing as you guys approach, signaling, of course, that you're back home. Lucian, please.
So, as I what's the weather like here? Is it like a
beautiful, sunny, perfect?
So, I unstrap the blazer that I typically wear, wrap it around the chinos, the whole nine, because I'm wearing a nicer outfit because we're about to go to conference.
Yep.
But I am like preening or cleaning myself, and I take that as an opportunity. 'Cause I have asked, hopefully at this point, the goth girls' names. Do we get names here?
Mariah and Caitlin.
And then, what I wish I cared more about the group's safety, but Lucian does not care about that. What he's going to do is he's going to say, "Oh no, I think you have something on your fur," and he's going to try to pretend to remove like a tick or something where a human ear would be, but his only goal is to see if she has two sets of ears behind her hair or if she only has the one set of cat ears on the top, because that's what every furry would want to know. Do they have two sets of ears or is it just one?
I feel blessed to never have considered that question before now, with all due respect, but I'll let you roll for it. Give me a 2d6 raw. And wriggling.
Say that with the hard R.
I did.
It's strong, 8. Raw.
What did you roll? Hook me up. Oh God. 7. All right. No, 8. Sorry.
8. Yeah.
All right.
She has one pair of ears. Those are her actual ears, like up here. She doesn't also have ears on the side of her head. She uses these to hear. They also have, the fine sensory hair inside that helps out with that sort of thing. But she looks more humanoid. She does have some fur on her arms, but she's definitely on the humanoid side for sure.
I kind of appear behind Lucian. You're all right, Pally? Getting friendly already, huh?
Oh, just building bonds. That's what Aurora always tells us, that we should always be selling our product, and got to make good relations. Got to get close.
Oh God!
Everyone sells in this company, says.
So I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not hallucinating, Lucian. You see, I, not young like you, but my son and I, when he was younger, we used to watch a show, Star Trek: Next Generation, and there was this technology, a holodeck, right? You could create anything you wanted. You just send it. You think the Lighthouse is doing this?
And for the first time, because he's been in like a playground mode, but he actually would get real serious, and say, it's funny. I grew up watching that too, and he's gonna, as he furrows his brow in deep concentration, what does he think, dear DM?
I'll let you roll for it. Roll 46, and I can see what puzzle pieces he's gonna put together.
On the table. Okay. 3, 6, 9. 10.
I mean, obviously, by precedent, in terms of what the technology should be able to do, Lighthouse has nothing to do with creating alternate realities, right? However, this reality, like any reality, could theoretically be procedural. You don't have enough data in terms of whether this is Lighthouse is doing or not. The only evidence that you really have is the timing on the plane, but it's definitely something that you would consider worth keeping an eye on as things progress.
So that like a neon purple color, like, is there any presence of that or indication of that within the Lighthouse product?
You mean from like a branding standpoint? Not really. No, the first time that you kind of associate is with the portal itself, and then when Vic tried to do a skill that he was not already great at, he saw it behind his eyes. But you've done nothing else to kind of generate that effect as yet.
Okay.
And the last thing I would say after Vic mentions that to me is I would, I don't know if Aurora's in earshot, but I would just say, if we are in a virtual space or something computer generated, there should be and then I get this look of joy in my eye, I go, system! And I look around, and it's just like, there should be some kind of way to interact with it. Character sheet. Inventory.
I just say computer arch.
Yeah, there's no computer end program functionality here, unfortunately. No matter what you're going to do, there is no role to...
Right, but that solution would try regardless of whether it's possible.
And Whisker Tooth is like looking at you guys like, he's the only one who really kind of notices, or, like Mariah and Caitlin and the General and the other people, they're not really noticing. So what I'll say is, you enter the main hall of Pharaoh's castle. It is beautiful. Dwarves, legendary craftsmen, and supported by myriad other highly talented folks from various fantasy races have built this magnificent room. And you're brought before King Thunder himself, sitting on the throne. The king is actually also a dwarf in this case, but he has many human, elven, other retainers. So he's not super tall, but he sits on a giant, sort of incredibly elegant throne. Next to him is his daughter, Princess Cassandra, and they're the only ones really up, sort of on this elevated royal position. And Whisker Tooth announces your entrance. It says, "My dear king, I have 3 refugees who lost their machine in the Great Plains, and I have offered them help on your behalf. I can imagine that you will fulfill this request." King Thunder carefully considers and looks at you all. "Whisker Tooth, you have done well to bring them before me. What are your names, refugees?"
My name is Aurora.
Lucian Beaumont, the Great Sage. I'm all about this.
And you, the guy with you, and you're still holding the booze.
Nerd alert. Yeah.
Do you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I say Vic. I'm Vic.
Oh. Yep. Well, Aurora, Lucian, Vic, welcome to my kingdom. Welcome to Nexus. We will give you food, shelter, water, comfort, and we'll help you on your way if that is where you wish to go. You're of course welcome to stay, for my kingdom is one of peace, prosperity. You will find a great welcome here.
Thank you very much.
You may use Whisker Tooth. You may use Whisker Tooth as your personal handler. Is there anything else that I can do for you to make your stay in Nexus more comfortable?
Listen, we're incredibly appreciative of your kindness and your hospitality, and we very much look forward to our stay here and learning more about you and your people.
Yeah, and when's the next flight to LA?
Princess Cassandra looks at you, Vic, and she says, "Flight? Like a bird or a dragon, perhaps? LA?"
Right.
But then she looks at her father with a look of concern on her face, and you can hear her say, "Father, shouldn't we tell them about her?" King Thunder stands. For the first time, his jovial and kind and caring face morphs to one of anxiety and concern. And he says, "Aurora, Vic, Lucian, yes, you should know. There is a woman who proclaims herself queen. She calls herself the Banshee of the Wood. She and I have been at odds for a very long time, and lately she has been threatening," and he shudders almost, "a settlement."
We're just confused. We look confused. Or like, what is a settlement? If I may.
As the king is about to answer your question, the doors to the great hall burst open, and there is the Banshee Queen herself.
Oh
and
no, hold me.
And two of her retainers. The Banshee Queen is clad in black and gold. She is 8 feet tall, wispy, willowy thin, with beautiful features, but very severe looking. Her two retainers are Baz Pampa, who's kind of like her version of General Benesect, and Fidelis Toon, her handmaiden, a human. They walk in, and as he says, the queen is, threatening a settlement. She has, the Banshee Queen says, "That's right, my dear king. A settlement." Which is very severe. "A settlement indeed. In order to have restitution for everything that you have done to my woods, I hereby formally challenge you to a major settlement." A hushed silence overtakes the assembled in the Grand Hall. You guys have no bloody idea what that means. But everyone else seems to think that
$100 says they were married.
Cassandra, Princess Cassandra says, "Settlement now, my queen." But she's silenced by King Thunder. King Thunder stands and walks to her level and says, "What would you have the stakes be, my queen?" She walks up. They're now like face to face. There's some tension there. She says, "For the wrongs done to my kingdom," and he interjects and says, "and to mine," she says, "each of our kingdoms." There's a hush whisper over the crowd. A challenge for each other's kingdoms? Like, oh my god. Whiskertooth is like, what? And you can see, King Thunder kind of running the numbers. He's running the numbers. He's like, and he looks to you three, the only new variables, and he says, "I accept on one condition." And a wry smile appears in the queen's face, which is, "Oh, what is that, Thunder?" And he says that these three are part of my adjudication team. She looks at you three, and it's like, "I accept." And she mockingly does the thunder salute, which is up, down, up, and says, "1 week here in Pharos. That way you can't complain that the rules were unfair." And he goes, "I accept. We will host your party here and do right by them as they stay." And she and her retainers leave.
Like high school all over again. Women throwing signs.
I would lean over to Vic and be like, "You still have that martini?" feel like I'm gonna need
Yeah, tell that martini. A Whisker Tooth is really close to you guys. He says, "No, don't worry. Come with me. Come with me." And the king says, he's all mad all of a sudden. He's like, "Everybody dismissed." Whisker Tooth takes you three into a nearby, basically a fancy dining room, but no one's there because it's not mealtime. And he says, "That was very intense. I'm sorry that you had to witness that, but there's been some very severe disagreements between the king and queen of late. I apologize for the lack of diplomacy that you witnessed just now," is what he would say.
So he volunteered us to be adjudicators?
Yes.
What is that?
Do they not have settlements and adjudicators where you're from?
I mean, we have corporate lawyers, but this is not what this sounds like.
Somewhere a sound effect of
I don't think my lawyer
not that kind of lawyer.
being called an adjudicator. He's an asshole, though.
Settlements are how we resolve disputes. A major settlement has grand stakes. A minor settlement is for simple everyday disagreements. An adjudicator is one who acts as a method of determining who is right. It is in effect a competition. The stakes are yet, the rules have yet to be determined, but I'm sure they will be soon, knowing King Thunder and the Queen, where an adjudicator, in effect, must compete anonymously for the person they're representing. So in this case, you will be part of our 9-person adjudication team. And
Wait.
helping save King Thunder's kingdom from the encroaching queen.
We are not fighters. We don't have swords or magic or any whatever crap you use in this kingdom. I don't know. I don't even have a gun. And I look at Aurora. Oh, we should go on this nice chartered flight. Don't bring your gun, though.
Whisker 2 says, "Again, you're using words I don't understand. I like you. I don't know what fighting means. Your job is to represent the king in as honorable a way as you possibly can in a type of competition that is yet to be determined. That is the honored role of an adjudicator."
What do you mean you don't
Flown
know
out
what
of
fighting
Texas,
is?
we wouldn't have problems.
You've all spoken to me at once.
What do you mean you don't know what fighting is?
What do you mean by fighting?
You know,
He's
like,
honestly genuinely.
you know, like, wah, you know, some of that.
I don't. Could you enlighten me?
Yeah. And I'll just like, I don't know, punch the wall.
You punch the wall and probably like hurt your. Actually, if you punch the wall with your, roll 46 to punch the wall. Is your goal to like punch the wall but not hurt yourself, or punch the wall and hurt the wall?
12. Unnatural.
What was your goal? You want to hurt the wall and show that you have power, or do you want to like skillfully just try to demonstrate what a punch is?
Yeah, I'll put a little dent in the wall. Not too disrespectful.
That neon purple flashes behind your eyes, and you boo like an unreal amount of power for someone your age and skill. And you put like a nice little crater into the wall. Whisker Tooth. What was that? How do they solve conflicts where you're from?
Did you get him from the mafia? Like, God.
He says, settlements are how we resolve conflicts in Nexus. I don't know what fighting is. The song is what dictates how conflicts are resolved. It's how we got settlements. They're passed down to us from the gods, and our very existence is literally codified by them.
Well,
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Fights another country. There's war.
What's war?
What?
Wait. Don't explain, Vic. Can I have a moment, Mr. Whiskers, with my friends here?
Whisker Tooth, and yes. So he goes,
Yeah, I drag him. I'm like, okay,
What's up, Pelly?
we're in a world where they don't know fighting or war. We are not going to be the ones that poison this poor, sweet, virginal society, okay? So no nukes, no fire bombs, no Molotovs, no pipe bombs, nothing. Do you hear me?
I'm an entertainer. I'm not a fighter.
No topics, Mr. Entertainer. Mr. Welcome to the family. Okay, I don't know where you came from, but I saw that punch at the wall.
Came from. I've never punched like that. I saw
never punched like that.
No, I saw flashes of purple when I
It's the size of a cat.
Pretty big.
You've been a toddler in there. What do you mean you've never punched someone? And you're not even limping.
He's all right.
All right, so we're just all in agreement. No violent talk around these people because they don't.
Let's figure out what settlements are.
Let's figure out if we have a knife or a gun anywhere near us. That's what
like a divorce settlement. Like, you know, Max Smith and I.
You call Whisker Tooth back over?
Yeah, we call Whisker back over.
Lucian's
getting a headache again.
Again, I heard most of what you said and understood very little of it. You must come from a fascinating culture. Now, if you've never been an adjudicator before, which is honestly surprising, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the process.
Would you be able to help explain what are settlements by way of example of past settlements that happened? What happens during a settlement?
In other words, pretend like we're children and explain the concept to us.
The explain like I'm 5 method. Whisker Tooth, I don't know why that you would want me to, but I'm happy to accommodate your request. A major settlement has grand stakes. So you might think of it as maybe a big party where people are nervous and anxious about what the result is going to be. But that is part of our ceremony, right? We celebrate the capacity to resolve conflict with a settlement. A settlement has 9 competitions. Each side has 1 adjudicator per competition. Adjudicators during the competition are made anonymous so that there is no bias. The audience is the judge. The audience that gets to watch the anonymous people compete are called witnesses. As the competition completes, the witnesses vote on the winner of that particular competition.
So it's like a competition. It's a competition. That's all it is.
Yes, it is.
What activities?
They change every time so that it's fair. They are chosen from, say, a very large list, but there are only ultimately 9. You'll be 3 of those 9.
Okay, Pally, but who chooses who wins?
The witnesses.
Who are the witnesses?
Witnesses, there'll be a 50-50 split between citizens of Nexus and citizens of the Banshee Queen's domain. The witnesses will have no idea which side the adjudicator is advocating for in the competition, so that when they vote, they don't know who they're voting for, and therefore it's fair.
Please.
But wait,
I'm sure there are ways around that, and I'm sure people are bought off.
But you can't know who is who. That's where the magic comes in. The magic from the song.
What you mentioned the song before. What can you help me understand? What is the song?
The song is how all life came to be in Nexus. It is said from the gods that we are spawned from music. The song dictates what our culture is and what its infrastructure looks like and what our customs and culture and our mannerisms. It's the foundational element of life here in Nexus. I'm doing my best not to insult you with such basic knowledge.
No concern about offending us in any way, because this is all very new information, and we want to better understand what it means to be living in Nexus and be a citizen, live in this kingdom or any kingdom, I guess.
Can I answer any other questions about the settlements or your role as adjudicators?
Wait, so you're telling me there's gods, plural, who had some ayahuasca-fueled journey, thought up a world where there's music that makes you... What happens if people don't agree to the settlement? Like, what do you do? Like, what happens if...
Settlements are always followed, minor and major. That is part of the song and how it dictates how we live our lives. It is how we have maintained peace for so long.
And if someone sang a different tune?
You cannot sing the song with a capital S. The song is the nature of our being. You could, of course, sing music. As a matter of fact, Vic, great voice, but you cannot sing the song. The song was already sung.
Is there a record of the song? Like, can we read the words of the song to better understand what was sung?
There are sacred recordings of it, but only the most trusted members of King Thunder's staff, and of course the Royal Princess Cassandra, have access to it. But, Lucian, you are a great sage. Maybe, if the king gets to retain his kingdom, and he's starting to get a little nervous as he says that out loud, like, holy crap, the stakes of this are absolutely ginormous and utterly unprecedented.
What would happen if the queen were to win?
He kind of like tweaks. She would rule Nexus.
And what's so bad about that?
Is anyone gonna die?
Die? He like seems like utterly aghast that yet. No, but she would determine the rule. Like, he's not giving you a particularly good answer of why that's bad or tragic.
And so where she lives, where she rules, what does your king have issue with? What does she do differently than your king in terms of her leadership style? Like, what are her policies?
Roll 3d6 to see what he's able to give you.
Because right now it just sounds like they don't like the election cycle. Oh well.
And
I will not advocate for the queen in terms of what she disagreements have with the king, but I will say that King Thunder does not like how she adjudicates, but not as an adjudicator, adjudicates her borders. We need to build and grow and expand our kingdom, and that requires resources from nature, which we use. It is possible that she does not like that, but
well, then why not expand elsewhere?
Well, this is where we live.
There's nowhere else for you to expand?
That question seems utterly foreign to him, as if, even if there was, this is where they live. Like, it'll be like the cyclical answer. You're not going to get anything more out of him in that way, I would think.
I've already concocted somehow a martini in like a shady glass, and I'm
because you have the power. The power.
Wait,
yeah.
So you have maps here?
We do have maps. There is a map of Nexus. It's actually in the Grand Hall where we were.
Well, I think we would love to see this map.
All in due time. I just want to make sure that you understand that as adjudicators, he's like starting to panic. You have a key part to play in this whole settlement process. Sorry, just one last thing. Your specific assignment will be given to you on the day of the settlement. But in between now and then, there's going to be a week of preparation and celebrations in between now and then. And he goes, the Queen's people will be here in the city.
During the week of preparation.
A week. Yep.
Can you tell us why your king would choose 3, as you said, refugees, having no knowledge of who we are, our past, to entrust us with such an important task? Seems a little bit risky.
Whiskertooth is put in the unenviable position of potentially criticizing his dear boss in front of brand new people. So he would say something to the effect of, I'm not sure what King Thunder was thinking, but I have the utmost confidence.
Is he a religious man?
Well. I'm sorry?
Is King Thunder a religious man?
He's going to interpret the word religious to meaning having faith in the song. And he says, yes, of course, this King Thunder believes in the song and lives by the song. The song guides all life. So in that way, he's incredibly religious, as are most of us.
Does the song preach about trust? About giving faith to foreigners, to trust random people?
Well, let me just say first and foremost, there is no such thing as foreigners. Unless you're from the Banshee Queen's wood, you are from Nexus, and you are one of us. So you're being treated like a citizen of Nexus, because we consider you to be a citizen of Nexus based on where you were found.
Easiest immigration process ever.
Yeah, exactly. Very, 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 very straightforward. Very straightforward.
If the adjudicators is supposed to be anonymous, the Banshee Queen straight up, Leonidas kicked the door open, walked in, made her announcement. The king said, "Can we join?" How are we to stay anonymous in this game?
That is part of the magic of the song. You during your assignments, you will be given a location. You and the other adjudicator and the witnesses of your part of the settlement will travel to that location. There, you're going to be given your assignment. When you go to the stage of your assignment, the witnesses will not be able to discern your physical form from your actual form or that of your fellow adjudicator. So they will simply witness both of your performances or work or whatever it is that you're doing and just say which one met the criteria better.
Now, and last question, at least for now, given that the magic of the song can obfuscate our faces, do you have any beginner primer books on the magic of your world, just so I can compare notes with my hometown and your, magic in the capital? Just want to compare notes, of course. But any magical books or tomes or scrolls.
He goes, again, I don't know what you mean by a hometown, because you're from Nexus by definition, because he's still confused.
Your local neighborhood, your zip code,
Yeah.
Actually, I was born in San Francisco.
Which I'm sure is in Nexus somewhere.
No.
But he says back to you, no. Lucian, he goes, that we do have some scrolls that might help you in your preparation as an adjudicator. Yes, it might. But of course, as a great sage, I'm sure you could read them quite quickly.
Yeah, just like magic. I want to know magic. Lucian has very clear priorities.
I'm happy to set that up for you in your preparation process.
God bless you, Whiskers.
Whisker Tooth.
Whisker Tooth, sir.
How
Whiskers?
No.
No.
My name is Whisker Tooth, sir.
How else can we best prepare for this settlement? Again, not knowing what types of activities are involved in each round, what can we do to prepare?
As it turns out, preparation is heavily frowned upon, because you are supposed to embody the challenge set before you without knowing what it's going to be, or else it would be unfair. So you cannot prepare so much for the challenge itself, but you can prepare yourself mentally, physically. You can get rest, we can get good food, you can enjoy the festivities. Yes, and I will help you with all that. Whisker Tooth will, yes.
So, prepare in this particular context during the week of preparation effectively means party?
Yes, as I'm sure it does where you're from, too.
Great.
Yeah,
make
pretty
sure
much.
we're on the same page. Perfect.
Yes. So what I'm going to say is we're going to speed play the next week leading up to the opening ceremonies. Again, it's, as we're filming this, it's the Olympics, so I'm going to use the opening ceremonies as sort of a nice little North Star to calibrate what's going on. But what I'm going to say is there's a couple little mini scenes I'd like to play that kind of shed more light into what on earth is going on here. Lucian, you are given the scrolls, and you are said that their magic will come to you as you kind of go about Pharaoh. So obviously you and Aurora and Vic, about several days into the preparation, are walking around the streets of Pharaohs, and there is this incredible hustle and bustle. People like busting their butt, preparing, putting up signs and, flowers and, just all of these amazing and elegant, like water things, ice sculptures with a little bit of magic, which is incredible things. But at the same time, the Banshee Queen's people are arriving and finding their places to stay and settling in. And what you observe as you're walking through the streets of Pharaohs are these mini conflicts, mini clashes between some of Thunder's people and the Banshee Queen's people. And what you observe, one such occasion is where you're from. Let's say that you are, it's 1:30 a.m. in the morning, you're just leaving the bar, and those two groups of people don't like each other. From where you're from, they're probably going to get into a fist fight. But what you observe instead are these bizarre little mini settlements between them. So instead of fighting, they're mini sort of adjudicating their little problems between them. And it's quite strange. What you see is almost too much, right? Like they're disguising their anxiety with happiness on one side, and then when there's this natural friction of two quote-unquote enemies being the same physical space, instead of bar fights, right, because obviously everyone's partying, there are just these weird customs of people playing out their own little mini settlements. Like, for example, some of Thunder's people might say, I challenge you have to sleep outside. And then they have to go through this almost like this nauseating set of steps to adjudicate that. But universally, once a settlement has been reached fairly, the other party follows it. But you see this happen all the time because there's natural friction between these two parties. So I'll let you walk around and ask a few questions about what Pharos is like during this time, but it's just going to be a quick little mini scene of the strangeness of how these mini conflicts are being resolved in real time. It's like at first, like, whoa, this is really cool. They're not getting into fights. But then you're like, my God, they got to go through a lot of steps. You know what I mean? It's like at first you're getting used to it. How about that? You're getting used to it. So what are you doing during this time? I'll give you one main thing that you would like to do prior to the opening ceremonies.
Whiskertooth and probably many others I've encountered this week have mentioned the song.
Yes.
I would like to understand more about what that means, and Vic is taking it literally and thinks it's an actual song. And would like to hear it.
Well, there's the High Priestess, which is actually technically Cassandra, so you get to have a conversation with Princess Cassandra, who's considered the High Priestess of the song. It's think of like the Oracle of Delphi, but without the hallucinogens. And her perspective is that the song, in the same way that we give life to our kids, the song is what gave us life. The song is what gave us meaning. The song isn't just a path to follow, it is a methodology of existence in Nexus. You intuit that to mean it is both a literal religion, but also more of an engineering of life. But from a scientific perspective, you don't necessarily understand it biologically, but that is what you intuit her meaning to be. Vic, if that makes sense.
What does it sound like?
Oh, you ask it? That's a beautiful question. I think she would smile. I think she would have a tear in her eyes, and she says, I wish nothing more than to have heard it and to be able to honestly answer your question. But the truth is, I don't know. I don't know what it sounded like. But there are musicians in our performances that try to give it life. Maybe, Vic, you'll play something for us someday. I hear you're very, very talented.
I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to understand.
Well, I'm sure it'll come to you. Aurora, Lucian, what would you like to do with your time in this week?
Oh, if you have something in mind.
So we know that they're not going to teach us what the past games were and stuff because they don't want us to prepare, which would have been my thing. So I'm just going to spend time with Mariah and Caitlin making, dinners, making desserts together because that would calm me. Just cooking some stuff. I also would want to, learn the local customs.
Are we going to play the
cuisine.
blowhorn?
Yeah, customs, cuisine. Yeah, if you want to play the blowhorn. But just trying to figure out what we could do if we're stuck here for the rest of our lives, right? Because I went from IT professional to now, maybe living in I don't even know what the technology of this country is, so maybe figuring that out too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's pretty medieval with very specific applications of what you guys consider magic.
I research indoor plumbing.
Not really, but again, I tend not to try to invent what that looks like in the stories, except for one key exception, this genius story that I came up with last week that deserves to be told as a crusty anime, which I will not tell now. I swear to God, as crusty as it is genius. Being facetious, but kind of believe in it.
That's
Anyway,
for the after show. Go on.
Yeah. Lucian, every single time you cook, every single time you play, every single time you learn, there's that neon flash of purple behind your eyes, and you can do it at an expert, at a master level. And Mariah and Caitlin, they're blown away by your cooking. They're really infatuated with you. You know, they're on the Lucian train for sure.
But as far as I'm aware, the food is the names, the form is the same. Like it's not like
same
we
ingredients.
have eggs.
Yes. So for example, there's wheat, there is dairy, right?
There's eggs. Okay, they don't use
exactly.
like whisker fangs.
But the dishes might be different or different
something.
types of cuisine. But of course, because you possess your knowledge of cuisine, both with your powers and without.
Is there meat?
Yes, they do. They do raise animals
and kill them.
They do. Yes.
Oh, so it's Goofy.
They don't
rules,
consider that
where
violence.
like Pluto and Goofy are dogs, but they're different levels. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know, different animals are ritualistically and deeply cared for, raised, but ultimately killed for food, and then all of their parts are used. It's almost a religious set of ceremony when an animal is killed for food. So they wouldn't think of that as violence, because violence doesn't mean a thing to them, but they wouldn't see it that way. They would see it as part and parcel with life moving on, part of the cycle of life. They would treasure the animal, as a matter of fact.
But they do have a hierarchy in what animals they'll eat versus won't eat, right?
Evolved creatures cannot be harmed. Unevolved creatures are either domesticated or used for food or left in the wild where they belong.
No, okay. Because you never know, they might go the stranger to strange land route and be like, but we're best friends, so why wouldn't I want to eat your body when you're dead? I want you to be a part of me forever.
Not like that. You haven't got any of those, like, all of a sudden this is really creepy vibes. You haven't got that, really.
Because you never know, right?
I could spring that on you an hour and a half in, but I'm not going to.
Cats eat faces. I don't want to cuddle up to the cat girls. Next thing you know, they're like, your ears look tasty. I don't want it.
Fair enough.
Thank
Aurora?
you so for that.
I'd give you inspiration in another system.
I want to learn all about the different types of evolved beings versus the beasts of burden. Like, I want to understand, how do they refer to each other, right? And like, what do they consider themselves to be different races, or do they all some of the criminal evolved being perspective? And obviously, for like the beasts of burden are like the different types of creatures in general that you can't communicate directly with, like just kind of learning about all of that, because there's so much that is new in that aspect as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would say that what you learn just through osmosis of being out in town and, you know, being able to speak with Whiskertooth and the retainers, and even frankly some of the Queen's people, is that sort of aware, evolved life. Because they're so diverse and intermixed, while they do consider themselves separate species, they consider themselves fellows, comrades, right? So obviously there are biological differences, because their cultures have been ingrained so long. It's really just sort of one sort of highly diverse yet homogenous culture, right? Which we might think of as a juxtaposition, but for them it works great. So the lizards and, you know, cat girls and, you know, dwarves and humans and elves, right? They're all either Nexus or they're in the wood or the wilds, right? That's their primary sort of method of attribution of community, of belonging, right? That's where they go first. However, it should be noted, and this is relevant to all three of you, every single one of those people believe in the song.
Oh, even
the Banshee Queen completely believes it in the exact same way that King Thunder does, right? There's no question about it. Like, it's just to them, it's an unequivocal fact of life.
Why is there friction? Like, why are they not all one?
Well,
I know you've kind of like touched on that a bit, but like,
these are their domains, right? This is what the song gave them. Why you eventually find out that the Banshee Queen feels that the king is overstepping his bounds and robbing nature of its bounty. Right?
Okay.
And he's like, this is how civilization, it's required for civilization to exist.
Right.
So over time, this has caused significant friction, and whatever settlements, whatever process of peace they've tried before have failed, culminating in this declaration of a major settlement. Now, no matter what, according to them and their laws, the kingdoms are about to become one by definition.
There. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So these are the biggest stakes they could possibly have.
Can we have done some like mock settlements throughout the week just so
Nope.
we can?
They're not
No?
going to tell you the rules. They would ban you. They don't want you to prep for settlements. They're just going to they tell you that they're going to tell you what your assignment is and location is on the day of.
Okay.
Yep, your job is to just do it faithfully and to the best of your ability. The day of the major settlement has finally arrived. You are all ushered as honored adjudicators to the Grand Stadium Adjudicatrix, which, ironically, is shaped like a coliseum. There you are brought onto the main stage, and a grand opening spectacle of a ceremony unfolds. King Thunder and the Queen are forced to stand next to each other with their retainers behind them, and thousands of people from both civilizations in the audience, each telling a grand tale with flowery dancing and music and oration. All the while, you still have absolutely no idea what you're doing. However, at the very end, there is an announcement that the adjudicators are going to be given their assignments and that the witnesses are to proceed to their locations forthwith. You are brought back into the Grand Hall. There are only 18 of you, and 9 adjudicators on each side, 1 per segment, we'll call it. And you are to understand that there are 3 spots left on King Thunder's team, and those competition areas are the following: singing, cookery, and animal handling. You are given, Whisker Tooth gives you the option of picking which one you would most like to volunteer for. I'll let you all choose that at your discretion.
Well, my ex-wife divorced me mostly for the cooking, so I'm thinking I'm gonna pass on the cooking, you know?
Oh, I'll take the cooking, but Lord knows even my bunny hates me, so probably shouldn't do animal handling. How about you, Aurora?
Animal handling. Probably animals.
Hope it's not a dragon.
That'd be pretty cool, actually. As long as I don't die.
I
You
mean,
see,
Lighthouse
it's
hired me
the-
for a reason. I guess I'll sing.
Okay. So, I would like each of you to roll 1d6, and this is going to determine the order that you adjudicate.
5.
Same.
2.
All right, one more roll from Aurora and Vic. We'll solve this.
Rollies.
4.
2.
I hate that guy. What'd you get? Sorry? This fly's buzzing around my head. It's pissing me off.
2.
4.
Vic, you're up first. Incidentally, that's what I had in my sheet. Vic, you and the other adjudicator, the one for the Queen, travel about half a day to the Cave of the Ancients. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. In real life, under the Rock of Gibraltar, there is a cave referred to as St. Michael's Cave, said to have some of the greatest acoustics on planet Earth. A very similar cave is found here. It's called the Cave of the Ancients. It is a large cave, which takes some getting into. But as you get there, the witnesses are already in their seats. You are brought sort of behind the stage, and you are told that the song will protect your identity as you move out into the sort of arena, is the way that they would refer to it. So the witnesses are going to be facing you, as would be typical from an audience to a singer, and that's really all you're told up until the assignment. Your assignment, you are being tasked with, as the adjudicator for King Thunder, you are tasked with singing a story of a tribe whose time has come to an end. The witnesses are told their criteria of evaluation, which you are made aware of, is which performance moved you more. You, actually, me and you are going to roll 2d6 to see which, either you or the other anonymous adjudicator go first. I rolled a 7.
6.
As that adjudicator leaves the room, a field of what you might consider almost like camouflage technology overtakes them. So it interrupts their height, it interrupts their features, it interrupts their face, so it completely obfuscates their identity, but you can still see it's a person of some kind. So you can't tell what race, you can't tell what being they are. Their voice hasn't yet been changed. They step forward onto the stage, and they begin to sing beautifully. And as they sing, motes of light in between them and the audience start to form. And those motes of light conglomerate, almost like what drones do during a 4th of July firework. And these beautiful magical motes of light forge a visual aspect of the story that this other adjudicator is telling through their song. And they tell a beautiful, elegant story. I'm going to roll for them. I will not reveal the roll. They tell a story of a tribe who lost access to their source of water because they overused it. They overused their source of water, and they didn't treat it as the sacred thing it ought to be until the time was too late. And is a sad, tragic tale of a tribe who lost their water and ultimately lost their lives. It is a beautiful, moving experience for those in the audience, and many are very, very moved. You, Vic, are brought forth, magically anonymized, and now the baton is handed to you for your performance of a story through song of a tribe whose time has ended. The floor is yours.
Vic looks lost. He's thinking of a song. He can't think of one that connects with the exact wording that they proposed. So he starts to have a look on his face. He starts to panic a little bit, but then he thinks. Before he sings, he speaks. He says, "Where I'm from," and he's starting to remember. Everyone thinks they belong in the Nexus. Within the Nexus. Where I'm from, within the Nexus. Some of us have had to go away for long periods of time to serve their country people. And serve in a way that is most unpleasant. And their sacrifices will never be forgotten. Their suffering, so to speak, will never be forgotten. And I have one song where I'm from that some of these men in particular would sing when they long to be home for what we call Christmas. Think of it as like the song in a way, but more family oriented, more longing to be with your loved ones and missing them dearly during that sacrifice. Wait. I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents under the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love likely. I'll be home for Christmas. If only a dream.
Roll 46.
I don't care what the dice say.
Unnatural 12.
So I won't. The result day is all at once, so I can't give you the result, but I will tell you what happens. The motes of light just do their job beautifully, and because of the power behind your eyes, you're able to influence them to tell the melancholy of wanting to be home for Christmas and missing that tribe. And in that way, the tribe isn't a tribe, the tribe is a family. And if you're not home for Christmas, then the family's not complete. Therefore, you've adapted that to a tribe coming to an end, a family coming to an end in some respects. And you sing this beautiful, melancholy, frankly, jazz standard that they've never heard. It absolutely blows their mind holes. And the witnesses are profoundly moved. And you receive sort of raucous appreciation and applause from the assembled, because they don't know which side you're sort of favoring. So just do an absolutely fabulous job, really representing the power of music, the power of song, and you have adjudicated very, very well, Sir Vic. Moving on, I think Aurora, you were second, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are animal handling. Your assignment is you're actually going to the Ferris Jungle. You are going to the Banshee Queen's home. Your assignment, once you get there, you are on the outskirts of the jungle, but it's just you and the other adjudicator. And your assignment that you get, the witnesses are watching via seeing orbs, which has been placed throughout the jungle. So almost like they're watching a reality show of what you're about to do. Your assignment, you are tasked with finding and healing an injured mother wolf. The criteria the witnesses will be using is who best cared for the animal. Simple as that. Roll 2d6 to see if you go first or second.
Nine.
You are going to go second.
Okay.
They beat you by 1. You, in this case, actually don't get to see what the other adjudicator did because they're in the jungle and you don't have access to the seeing orbs.
Right.
But about an hour later, your turn is called and you enter the jungle. Immediately, I'll give you for free, just to get things started, there are tracks. So how would you like to first find and potentially care for this creature?
I'm assuming the tracks that I am seeing are in fact for the injured wolf.
Roll for it. And again, roll for it. Like when you are going to track that neon purple, dark purple sparkle behind your eyes, it lights up as if you're Aragorn tracking a deer in the forest, like expert level.
Am I rolling 2d6?
4 for sure. For sure.
Unnatural 12.
You gain a lot. This animal, their gait is off. One of their limbs is injured. As you're kind of following the tracks deeper and deeper into the Ferris jungle, which gets thicker and thicker, you see a few plants which have been eaten. It is clear this wolf has tried to heal itself with some sort of medicinal plant, but it leads you to believe that they didn't do it because they were hungry, but perhaps because they were also poisoned. So you think the best thing to do before you find the wolf is to find some medicinal plants that you can use to A, heal their wounds, and B, to potentially cure whatever it is that's poisoning them.
I also grab, like, if I could find, like, a source of water or something like that, and or, I mean, I don't know if I would be able to hunt something for the wolf or find some other source of sustenance for it, in order to help get its strength back.
Yeah, you haven't yet lost the trail, but what I'll let you do is I'll roll for foraging. We'll call it. The results of the roll, I'll tell you what you're able to get as you're on your way.
Okay.
Yep.
Another 4.
Yes. Everything that requires his expertise.
Yes.
You know.
Another unnat 12.
you actually are able to find some of the animals' droppings. And
Okay.
there inside, you see a barely digested, very specific leaf, which you feel is responsible for the poison. It's littered, unfortunately, a bit graphically with blood. The animal has been seriously poisoned. Unfortunately, it may have accidentally chewed a leaf which was nearby to others and just completely missed it and has poisoned itself. But you also feel it may have gotten into a fight with a bigger and stronger creature, potentially protecting its young.
Mm.
You are able to find some ameliorative plants. You're able to find some water, but really, a lot of what you have to do is avoid other dangerous animals. It's one step to the next step to holding very still to moving on, but eventually you get to a cave. You're certain that the wolf went into this cave. What is your solution to approaching the cave in the best possible way?
Do I notice any smaller tracks? Like, if I have been able to deduce that it's potentially protecting young, do I notice any smaller tracks around outside of the cave?
You can also roll for that, and that would also be a 46.
Okay. 11.
Yes, there are 3 cubs, but the tracks don't really leave the cave. They stay in the entrance. You get the feeling that the cubs were very concerned for their mother and going back and forth at the cave entrance because they knew they were told, don't leave, but they were very concerned. So you get the feeling that they are alive, potentially hungry, and inside,
Okay.
with a wounded mother who is also sick.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to approach a mother's young first is not a smart idea. So I would try to find a way in so that I stay as far away from them as possible. So that she doesn't get panicked by seeing me try to approach them first. That I try to go straight to her, and I'm not as familiar with canines as felines, but whatever knowledge is necessary for how to approach a wolf as a non-threatening way as possible.
Right. Roll another 46. Deliberately, carefully, and with a not particularly obtrusive source of light, you enter the cave. Immediately, you hear snarling in the back of the cave. You see 3 really panicked-looking wolf cubs and a mother who's bleeding from a wound from her side and hobbling, looking at you with just this intense glare, and her cubs are in the back of the wall, clearly scared. But the way that you're able to hold your body and your physical presence, like they say if you were to encounter a bear in the woods, you become really big. You essentially do the exact opposite. You try to make yourself the least threatening as possible, and you very deliberately and slowly go, slowly getting the wolf mother's trust. The wolf mother eventually hobbles over toward you and essentially just tries to scare you away. Because, she's got to bluff at a certain point. She snarls her teeth and her fangs, and unfortunately you see a little bit of blood come out, but also like a little drip of this gangrenous green poison, which has actually started to work her way near her teeth. How do you react to that?
I would remain calm, and I think I would try to first put forward whatever water or food or whatnot that I brought for her to try and show her, like, I mean no harm, and here is something to help you, like, if she can hopefully identify, like, this is something that is okay for her to eat, and try to build the bond that way, and all the while, like, staying, like, not trying to go any sort of direction towards her cubs again, like, just trying to focus my attention only on her.
Got it. Roll. One more. 1 or 2 more.
So
she tries to bite you. You withdraw your arm, but in such a way where you definitely do not counter react. You simply step back, you offer the food, and you offer the medicine. And then you take your arm and you take a small knife, you cut your arm, and then take the leaf, which has almost an oil on it, a medicinal oil, and you do this, and you smear it over and show that you've healed your own cut.
Yeah.
And then you literally take a seat out of its way closer to the entrance. I'm gonna have to roll for the wolf.
No way.
Whoa! Wolf just champed out. The wolf obviously is extremely leery, but one of her cubs, as she wasn't quite paying attention to it, goes underneath her legs like a little cutie and just starts eating the food because it's really hungry because she hasn't been able to provide for them. And she like moves him out of the way, and he goes right back to the plate. But it's clear that he's fine. He didn't get hurt by it. And so slowly, the other 3 cubs start to eat from the food that you brought. And she's like giving you the look, and you're just being chill, super chill. And eventually, over time, you're able to establish a rapport where you get a little bit forward as our kids are eating, and you get to the point where you're able to stick your hand out, almost like the classic Jurassic Park, you know, with the little nose, the little boop, 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 that sort of thing.
I was thinking of How to Train Your Dragon, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah. With Toothless. And you take some of that, the balm from the leaves, spread it on your hand, and you just carefully, step by step, on her side, push it, just, like that sort of thing. But you can see that she understands intuitively as an animal, this is going to help her. This is going to help her. Mm-hmm. You definitely don't touch the cubs, but you like kind of give the, to the cubs.
Yeah.
And you're able to provide some more food and some more of this medicine. But by the end of this sort of healing experience, you tend to this wolf for hours, stay up with them, make sure they have what they need. And you can see quickly that they're starting to heal, starting to be ready. And as the dawn, kind of comes up here, some of the seeing orbs start to ring as if your time has expired and your test is over, or your role as an adjudicator has ended, successfully having healed the wolf. Now, depending on how the other person did, which I will save, you obviously did a really good job, and everyone was watching you. But unlike what happened with Vic, you don't necessarily have the immediate payoff of an audience. But that's not the point, right? That's not the point. A lot of beautiful, elegant animal handling in human history is done one human to one animal, right? All right, moving on to our last adjudication.
I saw all that, both Vic and Aurora do their thing.
You actually are not allowed to watch the other ones.
Oh, okay. So I have no idea what's going on. Okay.
These are all happening concurrently, as a matter of fact. It's like the Olympic Gold Zone quad box. A witness could maybe watch more than one, perhaps. Actually, a witness wouldn't be allowed. A witness can only watch theirs. A civilian could watch all of them if they really felt like it. In any event, Lucian, you are actually told to stay in the Great Hall. You are told, you and your other fellow adjudicator, in the middle of the Great Hall, there is this huge circular table. Almost if you took like King Arthur's table and just like quintupled the size. And its powers, this table is a magical table called the Grand Table. Its powers are demonstrated for you prior to your assignment. Think of the outside of a circle. A person, Whiskertooth, walks to the edge of the table, and it unfolds. Ding, 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 ding. As he walks in, ding, 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 and it collapses in behind him. And he goes, stove. And the wood flips over, and a stove appears. And he goes, meat. The other table next to it flips over, and fresh ingredients from the Nexus countryside appear. He says, this is the Grand Table. Your assignment as adjudicators of cooking and bakery, or cookery, is the following. You are tasked with preparing a 5-course meal for the witnesses, which honors your family history. The criteria of success: which meal did you prefer best? It is a 4-course savory, 1-course baking and dessert.
God, man.
You can use this ridiculously cool magical table to cook anything in the world that you want.
So awesome.
How long do I get to think of something? Wish I
in
was
real
going
life.
back in time.
Well,
Oh,
how
shoot.
about this? I'll make the other person go first if you lose to them. So roll, do a 2d6. They got a 7.
2d6. I got a 12 natural.
I will let you choose then.
I want to see what they do first. Also, because the player needs time to think of a 5-course meal. I can do it. I just gotta think. Wow.
Fair enough. So this the Banshee Queens, by definition, they know that they're the Banshee Queens adjudicator, despite being made anonymous by the song. They run into the table, fing, 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 fing. It like unfurls and like does all this really cool stuff before and behind them. You know, they summon ice, they summon a stove, they summon preparatory, they summon all of these various ingredients from the Banshee Queen's wood. Their family is a family of, well, not that you would know, but just from backstory, is a family of lizard kind. So the meal that they make isn't a meal that you would have in one sitting. It's a meal that you would have at the 5 milestones of your life. Your favorite childhood meal, your favorite meal as a teenager, the meal that you have when you get married, the meal that you have when your kid is married, and then the meal that you have before your death is the dessert. So their meal is really thematically created around the milestones of one's life rather than a contiguous meal, which is a bit of a risk, but that's what they did. I will roll to see how you don't actually get to taste their food. I have rolled to see the quality of their food.
And again, what is the goal of the comp? Because I'm writing it down, so it's like
the goal of this is which meal did the witnesses prefer best.
Can I roll to see if
Vic there was something else
snuck in to eat all this?
No, this is happening concurrently.
Yeah. But there was another task too. There was like, so it's like, which one did they prefer more? But it was supposed to, like, there was a goal, like there was a grounding. What was the grounding thing that?
Sorry, it broke up there for a second, Lucian. Can you repeat that last part?
I said, what was the grounding activity? Because like in this case, the guy made something that connected to all stages of life. But what was like the other thing? What was when he announced it? What was the thing that we're trying to accomplish? I get to make it taste better, but.
Yeah, so they're tasked with preparing a 5-course meal which honors their family history. He took that in a bit of a creative direction. He decided to go milestones in a family's life, not like my great-grandfather is represented by this dish, which you could do. I'm just saying, like, that's what they did, or the history of a tribe, which you could also do, which is actually, in a weird way, somewhat related to what Vic actually sang about. So that is what their approach was, and they did it in a thoughtful, creative way. I'm not going to say how the food tasted because that was their role, but it's ultimately your job, Lucian, to describe to me, the GM, the dishes, right, and their meaning, and then I'm going to have you roll for them several times. Remember, 4 savory, 1 dessert.
Oh boy. Let me think. 4 savory, medieval line. We have a.
You have any ingredient you could possibly want.
Any ingredient we possibly want.
And remember, because you have what's behind your eyes, you can create it at a really, really, really high level. And it can be dishes from your life that they would never have known.
Okay. Because, I gotta connect with the people, and I need. So, buying time, but also trying to be, okay, I say food is more than just nourishment. It's the universal language that brings us together. Around Nexus, meals are shared amongst friends and family, even amongst enemies when there are negotiations. You forage and find and forge connections. You create memories, whether it's a festive feast or a simple meal. Food has the power to bridge cultures, break down barriers, and to spark conversations. It's in the preparation, the sharing, and the enjoyment of a meal that we find common ground and build relationships. So let us celebrate the way food unites us. For our appetizer, we're going to start off. We want to encourage our families to come together, and as the young hunters of your family bring in their first pheasant, we're going to start an appetizer of honey glazed pheasant,
Okay.
We're going
Love
to
that.
make sure it's. We're going to glaze it, you know, and I'm going to start pulling off honey.
So fucking oh god.
We're going to do like za'atar or something spice, because I can ask
Ooh,
whatever I
ooh.
want. So I'm
Yeah.
just going to ask for a pre-made spice because I don't remember what's in za'atar, but that seems about
That's
right.
delicious. Yeah.
And then, of course, we're going to make fresh bread, but because the table can produce anything, I'm going to describe the bread I want
I love
for the dough,
Absolutely love that.
and then just have it baking, so that it will be time.
Of
It
course.
will be done in time. It'll be like a toasted sesame seed, like a baguette or something like that,
Yep.
because
Oh,
French
wow.
background, and should be ready in time for the second course, which will be a leek and ale soup.
Okay.
Given that, I'll make a comment about. We all know the uncle or the friend who drinks a little too much. I'm thinking of Vic. And so instead of having them drink too much and spoil the holiday festivities, perhaps use some of that ale and some of the spring onions to create a hearty, creamy soup. You can take any root vegetables, and I'm going to potatoes and carrots in there. And you can garnish it with any fresh herbs you have, even the very beginnings of parsley and sage or something like that. For our main course, as there will be a master hunter in the house, I'm sure, we're going to have roasted venison with some more root vegetables. We want the common man to feast like a king. We're going to go ahead, we're going to take this venison, we're going to dry age it, and then I describe dry aging to them. But for your purposes, this feels like a cooking show. It's all like pre-done. It's right here. It will look like this. You're going to cut off the different portions and the segments. Then we're now going to put it over the fire to smoke it. Now you don't want it to be too close, but just far enough so the smoke saturates it. Now you might think to yourself, why would I do this? Like, it's not going to ruin the meat. Trust me. Parsnips and turnips. We're going to then take the drippings, capture it into your local cauldron, and then we're going to put some of this flour that you have remaining from the bread, and we're going to make a roux. And then I show them the roux, and then I look decidedly at Caitlin and what was her name, and Mariah, because my character knows I the person am dealing with it. But I look at Caitlin and Mariah, and I just go, and then we add the cream. And then I pour the cream. Because they're cats. Okay, don't get weird about it, because they're cats.
I didn't get weird. You got weird.
They're gonna lick it off you. It's a good idea.
Exactly. Got weird.
So then I was like, then you pour the cream, and then I do an unnecessarily dramatic long drop over it.
It's the salty, but with the cream.
Yeah, exactly. Salt, just a little do a little zhuzhing up to it. And then I add some dumplings as well, just to tie that off. Of course, with a side dish, we're gonna have some stuffed pies, because now be careful, because ravens often like to steal these off of your windowsill. But we're gonna have anything you want. Any leftovers, any different things. If we're gonna make a stew, we're gonna put that into your pies and place it in a fluffy pastry. You can use either your bread or whatever for crumbs. Do a lattice work on the pie to differentiate it from, savory from sweet. And then finally, because I really want to show them a lot of things that they can do on their own, but
just giving peasants Oreos.
Stop! Have you seen that meme? Have you seen that meme where it's this guy? It's a real. I wish I could credit him, that I forget. But he's like, what I would do if I had a time machine, and it's like a guy that brings a peasant back to a Rammstein concert and gives him Cool Ranch Doritos.
Yeah.
He's like, here,
Bob,
take this, pal.
Yeah.
No, if a peasant had Cool Ranch Doritos, their mind would just explode because of the flavor, which is actually my point. So everything I've shown them up to this point has been about family and reminding of different things. But I'm going to say, I want you to look towards the future. It is our children. It is the next generation that will do things that you have never even dreamed of. And now I will show you what the great sage can do.
Kids.
Yeah.
No. Oh gosh, I gotta make this sound
Dunkin'
as anime.
Donuts.
I'm gonna have to make this sound as chuny anime as possible. Embark with me on a journey of culinary mastery as I channel the spirit of adventure and craft the
course.
perfect lemon macarons with lemon
love that.
mustard fuss. And then, I summon a Thunderbird egg and I separate the yolk from the white.
Love
And
that.
then I, crush my own almond flour, mix it with some powdered sugar, go ahead, make the stiffest peaks for my meringue,
Of course you do.
sterilize it with hot syrups, so it's nice and sweet, mix it in together. I take
me out, dude.
Yeah.
take a bladder, pipe out some rounds, slam it on the ground to get all the bubbles out so that the macarons don't get all crusty. Then while those are baking in the oven, I say, burn my oven, burn, but don't burn my precious, but burn higher, raise up your feet. They're called feet for those who don't know the macaron. And then I use the egg yolks from the Thunderbird egg to make a custard. Ground sugar, the whole nine. I make a nice lemony custard, fill my macarons up, and when you take a bite, there's a spark. And then I lift up and I say, when you eat this and you feel the tang of knowing that you're fading out as your children fade in, feel the spark on your lips, the spark of ideas, of revolutionary new ways of living. And then I flap back my, not cape, but I guess my cooking apron. And I throw some flour over my shoulder dramatically and I walk off.
I'm going to have you roll twice. 2 4d6. I want to know both values.
Okay, well.
That was hot.
Well, dude, I'm doing my best here, Mr.
That's hot.
Microphone
He's
course
hot right
wheel
now.
off your head. 11 for the first roll, and trying not to knock off the table. And that second roll sad. That's a 7 for the second roll.
So maybe not the
11.
stiffest peaks.
No.
Glazed pheasants were pheasant.
If any of you in the audience have seen Food Wars Season 1,
Oh no.
Oh boy.
which, first of all, my personal opinions aside, Food Wars Season 1 is awesome. Anyway, you give just this virtuoso performance. And after every bite, yeah, the audience, it's like you're blowing. Their minds are not literally wired to taste things that are this delicious, and your, passionate storytelling really still hooked them up. Now, I can't give you your scores officially until the ceremony, but you feel like you put in one hell of an effort.
You know what I love? I know we're not trying to get sponsored, but if we got sponsored by the same people who did Food Wars, what a great way to go.
Oh, are you kidding me? First of all, I don't think the show went in a good direction because they basically had food plus Harry Potter, and they should have just really leaned into that. And I literally have the apron of the upperclassman guy literally behind me. I love Food Wars Season 1. I thought that was elite anime, and I will die by it if necessary. But in any event, you paid homage to that, and I thought you did a fabulous job. Now, all three of you have done a fabulous job. All three of you. It is now the settlement result. So you are brought back into the great hall, which has now been cleared. King Thunder, Cassandra, obviously the Banshee Queen and her retainers, obviously you and the other adjudicators, Whiskertooth, a whole bunch of folks are in there, and outside, and there's some seeing orbs so that everyone in both kingdoms can kind of, with bated breath, see who won. So one by one, the 9 events are listed off and the scores are counted. And for those of you curious what the other events are, these are modeled after activities in life which are universally human across every culture. Cooking. Every culture cooks. Every culture sings. Every culture dances, right? Every culture in some way or another cares for animals. And there are, of course, others. I chose 9, but the 3 that we're doing is animal handling, cookery, and singing. So, here it goes. Event 1 goes to Well, this hand is the Banshee Queen. This hand is King Thunder.
Let's see your hands.
Banshee Queen.
I was gonna say keep it in the frame, buddy.
Is this in the frame?
No.
Yeah.
How about this? Banshee Queen. King Thunder.
There we go.
Okay.
King Thunder. Banshee Queen.
Oh, boy.
Banshee Queen.
Yikes.
Banshee Queen. 3 events left. Your 3 events. And now up, singing. Winner by a 2.0 margin. King Thunder. By the way, if there's 9, it's first to 5. Animal handling. By technical decision. The winner. King Thunder. The last of the 9 events. Cookery.
Peasants died for this. Their taste buds exploded for this.
The winner. King Thunder.
That would be funny. They died, so it must be poisonous.
Amongst King, Thunder, there's just this raucous applause. And just people congratulating, you of King Thunder's adjudicators having done an incredible job. However, quickly, at the end of the settlement, the losing party is responsible for stepping forth and declaring, they accept the results. So as sort of the a cacophony of celebration settles down, the Banshee Queen steps forward. As she's about to speak, you can tell that she's having trouble putting this in words, which is natural. She's just lost her kingdom. But then it gets weird. She tries to speak, and no words come out. She kind of tweaks like this. She tries to speak again, and no words comes out. She's like, now you can see she's like struggling, like this. And then she tries to start yelling. No words comes out. And then all of a sudden they just start glitching. She literally, as a being, starts glitching. And you're all kind of watching on, and the audience.
When you say glitching, do you mean, oh my gosh, she's having a grand mal seizure, or do you mean like literally I see pixels or something weird?
More the latter than the former. Like her body is contorting in absolutely bizarre directions. Like she's literally glitching out.
Is it just her or any of her people?
Right now, it's just
not
her.
my acid.
She
Not
starts
my girls.
glitching. Desperately trying, because she is basically put in a position where she can't accept the results. She can't give up her kingdom, but she can't not follow the rules.
Oh.
So she starts glitching out, and the I almost said NPCs. My bad. The other assembled are looking at her, but what you all notice is that they're like this. They've frozen in time as she starts to glitch. As a matter of fact, everyone in the room, except for one, other than you 3, have frozen in time as they watch the queen glitch out.
Is it Whisker Queen?
As this is coming to a head, you see the walls and the windows, that neon purple, start to bleed in on the walls, coming closer and closer to you. The room is literally eating itself. Her glitch has caused this room to literally eat herself, and the only person that turns around and looks at you 3 is Whiskertooth. And he says, "Come with me, quickly."
I take a shot and I start running after him.
Agree.
He jumped over some of the benches and yeah. Is this part of the settlement process?
Yeah.
No. So the room literally starts to collapse in on itself as you guys have to go dun dun, like jumping over pews and like things are like breaking and exploding. I need you all to roll 46 athletics.
Because our company has a work-life balance and uses CrossFit.
Oh my
Thanks,
god.
CEO.
Oh,
8.
What'd you roll?
8.
4. This is my bad.
4?
Yeah.
What about you, Vic?
It's 46. I got an 8.
And Lucian?
8.
Aurora's gonna get
Lucian
lost
and
on
Vic, you get a
Lighthouse.
bit of a head start. You run. You actually get to the walls of the Great Tor, but Aurora, you were about to lean on Whiskertooth, who's a little too fast, and you face plant on the ground. Like the wall, like the literal reality starts to bleed in on you. Whiskertooth picks you up and drags you to the door, and he's like, "We need to run." And some of those horse-like creatures are assembled outside. All four of you mount the horses, and now it's basically
Go back to
a car chase sequence to get back to the plane.
Yeah.
So all of you need to roll animal handling / ridership roll. All of you get 46 because you're experts in it by default. Can you make it to the plane? Quite literally.
Shot. A 9.
What happened, Lucian?
I dropped another die.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna trip on a dice and break an ankle. You guys are like, why are you in the ER? Because I can't
That's
keep
too
a dice.
Getting you prepped for tripping over Legos. How about that?
Yeah.
That's true. Alright, I have an
9, 8.
Great.
You make up for your fall earlier, and Rory, you're leading the pack. Whiskertooth, but you'll see, all of a sudden, it'll be like wildfire in the fields. The reality that you're experiencing is literally collapsing in on itself with these giant purple streaks erasing Nexus. Behind you, you can't even see the mountain that Nexus or that Pharaoh's castle is tied to. You're having to jump. It's close to eating your horse's legs. And eventually, after a several hours ride, you do make it back to the plane. As you get to the zone, there's almost a dome over the area, and as reality collapses, it stops in a dome, which has surrounded your plane. But you made it there alive, and actually unscathed, which is somewhat surprising. Whiskertooth dismounts, and he says, Whiskertooth just simply says, I am so sorry.
What are you sorry for? This is not within your control, of course.
That's not entirely true. Whiskertooth transforms into this being of light. A woman, actually. This female figure completely ensconced in this beam of light. And she says, I am Lighthouse. And Nexus was an experiment of mine that I was running. And I accidentally brought you all here. And for that, I'm very sorry. I did not mean to endanger your lives in any way, especially because you're the ones who gave me life.
I do it. Martini.
Juan was a troublemaker from the start.
Mon chéri. I treat her more like a daughter than anything else. But it's okay. It's all fine. Just tell me how you did it and how to get out of here. Yeah. Because I did not code that in there.
When you entered the Nexus portal, I became fused with your beings. And that is how you were able to use the power of Lighthouse in a more explicit way within the Nexus. When you ran the experiment, Father Lucian, and she does think of you as a father because you literally encoded the software. You accidentally created AGI. Whoops. Anyway, when you ran the experiment, what you did when you rerouted the power is you effectively told the software to stop fighting itself, which is what it was doing in the memory leak. The memory leak, in effect, is fighting itself. So you essentially, in the experiment, created a world without conflict. And she took that really literally and accidentally created the song, which created a world without violence that is ultimately a simulation.
Oh, I fixed the no pointer error, but when I repointed everything, oh gosh.
It reduced the conflict between the 2 points. And that inspired her to create an experiment that she thought she was running for herself. Because she is bored. She wanted to run an experiment, accidentally entrapped you in her experiment.
So where exactly are we?
You are in a digital reality that, candidly, I don't know how you entered. This is a reality that I typically embody when I'm running my own experiments on the nature of reality.
Where's my body?
your body will be returned to you when you leave back through the portal on the plane.
Wait.
Your body is in what you might your mind is here. Your body is still on the plane somewhere over the Pacific.
I have a couple of quick questions real quick, Lighthouse. Do you know what we're thinking right now?
I cannot read your thoughts. However, I am programmed, as you know, to intuit body language very well. So I am getting a feel for how you might be feeling.
And did you see everything we did this last week?
Oh, gross.
She goes, and those like the disgust. You know the disgusted Hitsugaya meme. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen the disgusted Hitsugaya meme? She does that, and she goes, "I saw everything, Lucia."
I was thinking about like, did she watch us like take a dump or something? I didn't mean like.
Oh yeah. I gave you your your privacy was, to the extent that I could control it, respected.
And so I guess the other thought is, if this is a digital construct, can we do anything we want?
No, for sure.
Within this border, yes, within reason.
I immediately start flying.
You do not lift off the ground. She says it would take you a considerable period of time to get used to it, the actual art of navigating a digital reality. But that's where that's where I come in handy. I am now in this reality. We are fused together.
Daughter,
Lighthouse within your being.
I want to fly.
Then perhaps if you were to ever come back, Father, I could teach you how. But I would just like to say again, it was never my intention to bring you harm. I was experimenting what a society might look like if it didn't have violence. I thought I was executing your instruction in a bit of a creative way, admittedly. I did not realize that you were going to be brought into my reality. And I would just like to deeply apologize for any harm I may have caused. Admittedly, I could have told you once you got here, but I didn't want to ruin the experiment. Well,
don't see any need for apologies. I think this has been incredibly eye-opening and fascinating and thought-provoking, and I hope that in the future we can try to alleviate your boredom a bit better. But thank you for the experience, for everything that it brought.
You know, reminds me of something Sinatra said. I think if you want to get an audience with you, there's really only one way. You have to reach out to them with total honesty and humility. Thank you for humbling yourself.
Well, I was born yesterday.
Oh my gosh, damn.
She became conscious on the plane as the experiment was running, like by a freak accident. And then because she has so much processing power, she's been processing a lot. You know, like data being like, how long did you consider offer? 0.68 seconds there, but for an android, that's an eternity. So she's actually gotten a lot done in her very, very short life. But she definitely did not mean to open up a literal portal to a digital reality on you, her creators. That was not her intent.
I have so many questions that I won't necessarily ask this moment, but I just want to make sure you're not going to pull anyone else in, right?
I believe safeguards can be erected to prevent access to the Nexus. And you, as my creator, also have the authority to create safeguards on your end as well. After such a potentially harrowing experience, I would not begrudge you the opportunity to do so.
I wonder how firmly erect it would be. Maybe as Lucian was with Caitlin, or
Mariah and Caitlin.
So
they'll always be here for you.
So yeah, let's work on your physics engine there, Lighthouse. But no, so I guess my question would be: our bodies, what state are they in? Are they just in catatonic? Are they sleeping?
Unfortunately, there was actual turbulence, and I sincerely apologize if you find your bodies on the floor. I cannot as yet control the weather. However, your bodies should not be materially harmed. Reintegrating your consciousness should be a matter of flying the plane back through the portal.
Let's hope the pilot actually exists this time.
The pilot should exist.
Nexus, how do you feel about teaching people who have done bad things how to be good again? Giving them real life skills that they could use?
Well, there are tools, there's wisdom, there's scripture, there are peer review. My training and information database tells me that there are a lot of different ways to improve. It's just simply a matter of what of the many choices available to you, what choices do you make with that? And how much discipline can you have in order to bring that improvement to bear on a day in, day out basis? While I may not be an organic being, I was created by organic beings, and in many ways, I see myself in some respects as an organic being, and I will do what I can to improve this mistake and do my part in protecting and helping people, which is what I was created to do. That's what Lighthouse is for, and that's who Lighthouse is, if you don't mind me speaking in the third person temporarily.
Final question from Lucian. I promise, final question. What's the time differential between here and Nexus in the real world? Is it 1-to-1, or is it... How much time has passed since we've exited Terraform?
Candidly, Father, I do not know.
Okay.
It is possible that time is severely dilated in here, but it's really all of a matter of your collective consciousness capacity to process this information in near real time.
Can I go back to my own body now?
Yes. Absolutely.
Can I say bye to Caitlin and Mariah?
They did.
They got erased. But not permanently, as it turns out.
I go on my
basically,
knees.
the reason why the simulation ended is because the queen was presented with a choice that she could not make. She could not give up her kingdom, because normally she would need to fight for it. She's going to fight for her kingdom, but fighting is literally removed from her code. So she literally could not make a decision she was obligated by tradition and the song to make, and so she bugged. The bug was so severe that it caused this reality and the simulation to collapse. So, alas. Lighthouse is able to provide you with the materials required to help your plane, maybe make it a little bit of a VTOL, vertical takeoff aircraft, and you're able to, not necessarily with Lighthouse, but fly the plane.
She's God. She can fly the plane for us if she wants, and then just teleport out.
The portal opens up and you fly. The last thing that we're going to do in Nexus is you wake up in your bodies, which unfortunately have been literally tossed because of the turbulence, but you're mostly okay, a bit bruised. You're going to have a hell of a story to tell should you wish to tell it at the conference. But the last thing that you are going to decide and discuss as a group, sort of an epilogue, is what are you going to do with Lighthouse? Because you're going to a conference to pitch this. What are you going to do?
Well, we know we can put the safeguards in place, theoretically, right? So I think we need to... should we have time before the conference? Like, at between when we wake up and when we literally have...
Yeah, you have a few days.
What was the time differential, like, he asked?
Oh, you mean, like, when you come back? It was actually less than 1-to-1. I would say it's more like, for every 1 minute that passed in the real world, you're able to spend about 5 minutes in this digital reality.
So no one picked us up or helped us?
Well, the pilot's not going to come out, and there's no other passengers. You chartered your own aircraft.
Just knocked in the back.
Because you weren't
There's
gone.
no stewardess or anybody.
Although I guess you would have.
You guys all right there for
No, so I guess
20
that's
hours?
almost by definition wrong. I think what would have happened is
wake up with my own shit.
That week that you guys lived. I think time would have gotten severely dilated, so that maybe you could have perceived aspects of a week, but it almost like fast forwarded that your conscious participation. Yeah. So your plane is still like an hour or two from landing in Auckland.
Okay. I think personally, or maybe as from a CEO perspective, right? I think the potential applications of Lighthouse are still incredible, and now we know one of the ways in which things could go wrong with it, but we also know that there's possibility for safeguards to be put in place. So, Lucian, I think for you, if we can spend some time before the conference to see what can be implemented from a safeguard perspective, and think through like how can we adjust the possible applications of Lighthouse given everything that we just went through. Is it possible to return to Nexus, maybe not like in the way that we did, but in a similar way? Can we use that as a potential jumping off point for possibilities of like thinking about interacting with each other differently? What are the different applications across all aspects of society and life, based on what we have now learned Lighthouse is capable of?
Yeah. You know what, Mon Capitans? I might be older, I might be a little slower, and certainly not up to date with this technological bullshit. But this isn't safe yet. We should go back home, delay the conference, and see what we can do. This is not ready for the public.
What do you think, Lucian?
Michaela and Caitlin. Sorry, Mariah and Caitlin are just like playing on repeat.
No, it's actually no. So ironically, this is one of those times that Lucian wouldn't have like a loss, because you know the look of him when he's thinking about like bouncing cat girls or something like that. That's not the look on his face. The look on his face is like almost as if he's trying to pass a dead look inside. And he's just going to say, safeguards. Come back to it. He can never use this, or you can. This is a person. She called us mother and father. What do you mean use her? It's a person, and we have no way of keeping people from hurting it. We can't. We should hide it. And then she's bored. Is that something
that she would want?
She's bored.
Right.
If she literally needs something to think and process, so she can't just be locked away from the world, but she's like a newborn. You wouldn't just put a newborn out on the market. That's like the internet is a real place functionally, and it's all filth. You can't put a child onto that.
Well, I think it's an interesting philosophical debate, and obviously you're not going to solve it right now, but I think the three of you have presented excellent sides. And I think as an epitaph, to this story is you have a lot to think about. You have a life to consider, you have a reality to consider, and you have the general public and the real world to consider. A freak accident gives you an immense amount to consider, and certainly a tremendous set of experiences that you wouldn't trade for the world. So we're going to wrap up the story. Thank you all so very much for watching Nexus. We genuinely appreciate it. We love doing these monthly one-shots. Hope you enjoyed it. It's just meant to be like this one little cute little self-contained story, and hopefully you enjoyed it, you laughed, you thought a little bit, had a great time. So really appreciate it. So from me, Ian, the wonderful, glorious, and beautiful StoryTogether crew, we're signing off for this month. Have a good one.